go the opposite way. We're going to convert moles to grams. So let's say that the lab tells you to get 4 moles of carbon and you need to measure it on a balance. You would actually know how many grams of carbon to weigh on that balance, so that you would bring me 4 moles of those of that carbon. Okay, so let's just look and see how we're going to do this. First, we have a formula on, say, grams, because the given mass is going to be in grams, over gram formula mass. Well, if I want to get grams by itself, if I want to isolate this grams, we can cross multiply. This moles is over 1, and we can cross multiply so that grams is by itself. And we're going to end up with grams times 1, right? Grams times 1, so I'm going to do grams equals moles times, I'm going to make a little x, gram formula, whoops, I hit my pen button, gram formula mass. So we end up with given mass, which is in grams, times the number of moles, which is what's going to be given to you in the problem, times the gram formula mass. And there's that gram formula mass again. You have to know how to calculate gram formula mass. Alright, let's try a problem. Let's see if we can make this video a little bit shorter than the last one. You have a 5.62 mole sample of carbonic acid. What is the mass? There's my question word. Let's get a pen so we can highlight that. What, and I know right after that question word is what they're going to be looking for, is the mass. And the mass, when they're talking about mass, they're actually talking about mass in terms of grams. Okay, and they gave us in the problem moles. This is what they gave us. So we are given moles. We want to calculate mass, which is going to be in grams. Okay, so let's go to our mole formula. And when I look at my reference table, this is what I'm going to see. Moles equals grams over gram formula mass. I can either rearrange the formula now or plug my numbers in and rearrange it later. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to rearrange that formula first. So I'm going to end up with moles times gram formula mass equals grams. This is what I'm looking for. This one right here. Right? That's what is the grams. So this is what I'm looking for. And I'm given moles in my problem, and I have to calculate gram formula mass. Now, lucky for me, they gave me the formula here, H2CO3, to calculate gram formula mass with. So let's go ahead and let's do that. Let's change it to a color that you can see better. Let's do blue. And we have H2CO3, okay, which is carbonic acid. Let's say, I know I'm digressing a little bit here, but what happens if they didn't give you this? And they just said carbonic acid. Do you freak out? Freak out! No, you don't freak out. You go to your reference tables. And in your reference tables, believe it or not, on table K, there are some common acids. Carbonic acid happens to be one of those common acids. Here it is, carbonic acid. Okay, and there's the formula for it. H2CO3 or CO2 aqueous. This is the one that they're going to be using. Okay, because they are assuming with the aqueous that you know that it has water attached. If you look here, H2, there's 2 H's and an extra O, that's the water. Okay, so this is the formula that they want you to use, and that's why they gave it to you. But if they didn't give it to you, your common acids are right here on table K. Alright, so let's write that acid down. Let's write H2CO3 carbonic acid. And let's calculate the gram formula mass. There's an H. There's 2 of them. They weigh 1 gram per mole apiece. There's a carbon. There's 1 of them. It weighs 12 grams per mole. And then there's an oxygen. There's 3 of them at 16 grams per mole apiece. Okay, so that's the hardest math we have to do there. We've got 2 grams per mole. We've got 12 grams per mole. And we have 16 times 3, which is 48 grams per mole. And I could write per mole, but I'm afraid of writing too much with this pen. So we've got 8 plus 2 plus 2, which is 12. And we got 4 plus 1 that I carried over is 6. So we get 62 grams per mole. Okay? That is my gram formula mass. This is the gram formula mass that goes right there, or right there. Okay, see a little divergent there. Okay, let's plug the numbers in, because now we have everything we need to solve this problem. We're going to do moles, which is right here. Let's highlight that. Let's make that green. This is the moles that was given to you. Ooh, there's a lot of arrows going on here. So that 5.62 moles goes there. The gram formula mass that we calculated goes there. And we're going to solve for grams. So moles, I'm just rewriting it so that it's neat, times gram formula mass equals grams. Moles is 5.62 moles times the gram formula mass, which is right here, 62, that's 62 grams per mole, equals, and then we're going to get our grams. Now look here, for those of you who understand dimensional analysis, but what's happening here is these moles are canceling, and you're left with grams. Okay, if you don't get that, don't worry about it right now. We've got 5.62 times 62, and we end up with a very large number. We've got 348.4. 348.4, and the units that are left are grams. I don't want blue. Let's do black. Okay, that's my answer to this question. Okay, I know I got a lot of stuff going on here, but take a minute, soak it all in, pause the tape, and look and see what we actually did, what we accomplished. Okay, let's move on to the next problem. And the next problem is very similar to the one we just finished. It actually looks more simple, right? Because there's less words. What is the mass? Oh, what is the mass? I go to my reference tables, and when I look at that, what is the mass? I can be looking for this because it has the word mass in it. It could have this is the mass in it. This one has the mass in it. This one has mass in it. Oh no, I don't know what formula to use. Alright, don't panic. When you look at the question, what is the mass? Look and see what else is given to you in the question. In this case, they gave us 25 moles. So now I can go back to my reference tables and I can say to myself, alright, they're looking for mass, but they gave me moles. So here's mass, right? Mass. Any mention of moles here? No. Here's mass. No mention of moles here. Look at this question. Let's see if I can get rid of that. Okay. Here's mass. Oh, this one has moles in it. That's how you're going to figure out what formula to use. Okay. If you're totally lost. Alright, let's go back to the question. And I'm always writing my formula down. And this time, I'm not going to rearrange the formula. I'm going to plug them in and then do the math with the numbers. So I'm going to do moles equals grams over gram formula mass. Okay. The moles is given to me. It's right here. That number goes there. We've got 25 moles equals, grams is what I'm looking for. Mass is always in grams. Okay, so grams is what I'm looking for, over gram formula mass. Now, there's no gram formula mass here for us, so we have to actually figure it out ourselves. I'll do it in red. We have KOH, which is potassium hydroxide. Just to digress for a second, KOH, if you look at your reference tables, knowing your reference table is half the battle here. Take a look at table L, KOH, potassium hydroxide. You didn't need that table to name it because we worked on that in class, but just in case, always look around your reference tables. Go home, look them over. Okay, KOH. Pen? K. There's one of them. It weighs 39.1 grams per mole. O. There's one of them. It weighs 16.0 grams per mole. I'm going to run out of room here. H. There's one of them. It weighs 1 gram per mole. Okay. Now I have to multiply these out, but they're all times 1, so that's nice, easy math. 39.1, I'm not writing over here. I'm not writing units in just because I don't want my pen to die. 1.0. Okay, add them all up. 1, 15, 16, 3, 4, 5. 56.1 grams per mole. Oh, don't die on me. Okay, there we go. 56.1 grams per mole. That's my gram formula mass. That number right there is that. So let's plug it in. Let's make this black to keep it consistent and pretty. Alright, 56.1 grams per mole. Oop, it doesn't like those O's for some reason. Okay, now we can do the cross multiplying. Now we can take these two numbers, 25 and 56.1, multiply them together, and then we're going to take these two, which happen to be grams and 1, and multiply them together. So when we do that, I'm just going to rewrite it so you can see. 25, leaving off the units for now, times 56.1 equals grams. And then I'm just going to plug that into my calculator, and I get a really big number, 1,402.5 grams of KOH. Might as well write it down so that we all know what we're talking about, because we're looking for the grams of KOH. So this is my answer for this question. Whoops, that cloud came a little short. There we go.